A bill currently making its way through New York State legislature would allow marijuana cannabis patients from other states to buy weed at New York medical dispensaries. An important step to protecting the medical market, advocates say. I noticed that they say medical dispensaries. They didn't say all dispensaries. They specifically said the medical ones. And quotes, patients' conditions do not understand state lines, said Nikki Lawley, a cannabis patient advocate and founder of the Nikki and the Plant. The amount of patients that get frustrated that come to our state and can purchase their medicine is a huge issue. Under the current state law, medical marijuana shops may only sell to patients registered in New York, meaning they cannot sell any products to people with medical cards from New Jersey, Connecticut, or any other state. If the medical reciprocity bill passes, it would allow certified medical cannabis patients from other states to access New York's medical cannabis dispensaries, so long as they can provide documentation proving their patient status. New York Senator Jeremy Cooney, who introduced the legislation, said it's problematic that New York, a state where about 1 million out-of-state workers come and go each day, does not currently allow non-residents to access medicine prescribed by health professionals. In a quote, New York is one of the most visited states in the country, from tourists to daily workers. So many non-New Yorkers utilize the state services, Cooney said. Anyone who needs medical cannabis should be able to access it in New York if they've been approved in another state. Additionally, the bill would allow medical dispensaries to sell pre-rolls, and medical cannabis registered organizations supporting the bill argue that it could help mitigate some attrition from the medical program that New York has seen since the state legalized adult use cannabis nearly 3 years ago, said Frank Tice, Senior Director and Legal and External Affairs at Aton and RO, owned by RIV Capital Incorporated. Tice, who has worked in the cannabis industry in multiple states, said that the states that launch adult use cannabis marketplaces often see a lot of their medical patients leave the program. That trend includes in New York. New York State had more than 151,000 certified medical patients before lawmakers passed the MRTA in early 2021. That number has since dropped to a little over 120,400, according to the Office of Cannabis Management data. Almost 30,000 patient drop, and about 2,000 fewer than last February. In quotes, we're at this crucial inflection point where the Office of Cannabis Management has started really rolling out the adult use program, Tice said. When adult use programs come online historically in other states, what you see is a natural attrition in the medical program. Atian, a member of the New York Medical Cannabis Industry Association, supported this bill when it was first introduced last year, Tice said. Last year, it never made it out of committee, but Tice said he feels good about the bill's chances this year, especially after it received a positive vote in the Senate Health Committee and is currently before the Finance Committee. Aton, along with the NYMCIA, is also supporting the bill in New York's legislature, also introduced by Cooney, which would repeal the 7% excise tax medical patients pay for each purchase, Tice said. However, he's less confident in that bill's chances in passing this session. That bill is more of a TBD to see if it can be successful, Tice said. In a statement to New York Cannabis Insider, Cooney said a major reason it's important not to tax patients for medical weed products is to keep in the medical program rather than seeking marijuana elsewhere. We can't have we can't have a patient decide it's cheaper and easier to self-medicate using the retail market, or worse, the unregulated illicit market, when they should have easy access to high-quality pharmaceutical grade products, Cooney said. I agree with that. That makes sense. However, medical cannabis advocate Lawley is a bit skeptical about nixing taxes on medical products altogether. The tax hasn't felt so burdensome to her, and she said patients already pay significantly less for the same products offered at adult use shops altogether. Lawley also worries that if the state derives zero tax dollars from medical sales, regulators and lawmakers would be less willing to invest resources into New York's already underserved medical program. In a quote, she says, "I feel that if we eliminate the tax, what's the incentive for New York State to keep the medical program?" Lally said, I personally don't really notice the excise tax." Well. I mean, I think she's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, nonetheless, saying that she wants the tax. But what do you? Any thoughts on this, Mandy or Yarrow, New York? And of course, they should have reciprocity. This is crazy that they don't.
Yarrow, you want to go?
Yarrow's on mute. Yarrow's going to unmute himself.
I was busy typing in the chat, trying to multitask so I can keep both channels going.
Get it.
I mean, you know what I feel about taxes, right? I think they take these taxes in general, they allocate them to worthy causes to justify heavy taxes on the industry, and then they step on our neck with burdensome costs and overregulation in a way that only supports an unregulated market and makes it so licensed operators can't make any real paper. So I'm not a big proponent of taxes on cannabis for any reason. I don't really care what the reason is. I think that the way in which they are using cannabis taxes for worthy causes is just a way to keep taxes high. So when New York is talking about lowering taxes, any market talking about lowering taxes, I'm in favor of it, because I think the three biggest risks to regulated cannabis are burdensome tax structure, lack of brick and mortar retail, and I'm too coffeeed up to remember what my third reason was. But I think that anytime we get
the fact that they're forced to sell year-old weed, how about that, Yarrow?
I mean, look, I don't know what year-old weed looks like.
Just go to New York.
We're pretty spoiled around here, but I do think that, this notion that taxes, that cannabis is a cash cow, it has clearly shown to be a failed model, and it's just not fair to the entrepreneur, and really I think it supports the unregulated market, because who's making money in regulated cannabis when they got tax upon tax upon tax upon tax upon tax? I remember once going to a cannabis, they had the Chamber of Commerce in San Francisco, and they had a cannabis commission, and they talked about taxing cannabis to create a fund to lend that money to social equity applicants in cannabis. And I just stood up and raised my hand and said, do you guys realize how fucking stupid you are? You want to tax us to lend us back the money. Why don't you just not tax us, not lend us the money, and just take your foot off our neck and let the cost of business be low and reasonable and sustainable?
They didn't want to do that, huh?
Well, at least I didn't get ejected from the meeting.
Oh man, you didn't get silenced and canceled, huh? I mean, you know what I really wonder? This lady says she doesn't care about the excise tax or whatnot. I want to know how much this lady makes. To not.
Well, listen, to me it sounds like perhaps there's some confusion. I don't know anybody anywhere that wants to pay more. Wants to pay more.
Yeah, I think this lady is a psyop. She's been hanging around with Taylor Swift.
I like T-Sweezy. But you know what? I do know Nikki. She has a really good heart, and I think that, I don't know, this sounds maybe a bit out of context. I'm not sure.
I don't know. That's how the article said it. I mean, that's how I'm reading it. That's how the print was printed. So
I could be wrong.
It could be taken out of context, but I don't know the lady. But I think I want to know how much she makes.
Taxes,
I want to know how much she makes, since excise tax don't affect her budget at all. I'm just shocked by that.
I want to pay taxes. I want to pay the taxes necessary to support society.
Yeah, but we're talking about for
and to
patients.
have a greater safety
patients.
net for those that don't have what ideally they should have, right? Taxes in and of themselves are not inherently evil. It's how much and what do we do with that paper? And so, and
no, I have a
fundamental.
I have a fundamental problem with taxing a medicine. I just have a fundamental problem with that.
I think medical programs shouldn't be taxed, and a lot of them are.
And that's what we're talking about here. Is the medical is on the medical side, is removing the excise tax on medical products.
I mean, the cost of medication, whether you're talking plants and nutraceuticals or pharmaceuticals in this country, is criminal. It really is criminal.
Yes.